Welcome to Colorado Hunting Hub. This podcast is designed to talk about everything hunting in Colorado. Whether you're a new hunter, old timer, or something else, Colorado Hunting Hub will have something for you. I'm your host, Clint Whitley, and let's get started. Welcome to episode 2 of Colorado Hunting Hub's podcast. In this episode, we are going to start a Colorado Hunt Planner series. This is going to be the first episode of many, and we'll run down every little step to planning. And really, this is what I do every year with my hunt plan. Or if I'm going to go on something new, it'll be a little more extensive. But non-residents trying to figure out how to come here and hunt, this is for you. New hunters, absolutely for you. Reactivated hunters, this is for you. Also, existing hunters, I think you could use some of my tools. I've got a new tool here that I'm going to give you for free, and take it and use it in your own plan. It is kind of just a plan structure. So reason why I'm doing this is because a while back, a few years ago, I thought for sure, pre-kid, I was going to be going to Alaska to do a moose and caribou hunt, and financially, moving wise, just career wise, it just wasn't working out. Like I said, I'm an average guy. I don't have the money to drop on a Alaska hunt. So one day I will. In this process of thinking about going to Alaska, first thing I did is I called up a agency office up there and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming and I want to do a hunt. Can you send me some information?" And they sent me this big old 2-inch thick packet of stuff. It included their regulations. I think there was some wildlife guides of some sort, identification guides. There's just a bunch of publications, map, I think. So shout out to Alaska Fish and Game. Thanks for the stuff. I flipped through it. I didn't come, but I will. But I haven't forgot that. They took care of me. I did that for Nebraska once. I called them, said, "Hey, looking at coming, send me some info." And they sure did. They sent me a bunch of stuff. Again, remember these people, the agencies, they want you to come hunt because you're spending money there. And that's what many of these agencies are driven by, is license sales. So make sure that you give them a call. You are their customer, and they'll take care of you. You may be the first of multiple generations of coming to, let's say, Colorado to do an elk hunt. And if they can have that sort of retention in their hunters, that's the first step to sustainability of funding conservation and funding this hunting heritage that we enjoy so much. I got a little confession to make. If you are a Colorado resident, I am a Colorado resident, but I am one of those transplants. Sorry if that loses a little street cred with you, but been here since 2012. I won't claim to know more than really any other person, but I feel confident in my skills here. And I have moved here with open eyes, and I think that's what many transplants should do. When you move to an area, bring a little piece of home, but for the most part, I've assimilated and tried to take on new approaches that I've learned here. And I think that's something that we all can learn from. It's not necessarily a great thing to move into a new area and just bring everything that you had from your home and try to make it your home. Because if it was your home, it'd be back at home. That makes sense. So, I am a South Dakota native, and I loved it there. But I moved here specifically for the hunting and my wife's job. I just told her, look for a place with mountains, find a job as an athletic trainer is what she does. And I said, look for any job openings in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, even told her Alaska. And we ended up moving to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which we ended up moving out a little further west to Silt, Colorado, which we found a great little piece of property. We love it here, got great jobs, and we're not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So back to our hunt plan series. I have a source for you. I'm going to give you this for free. It's a hunt planner worksheet. This is going to be a working document for me for a bit, and I'm going to include everything on here. It'll include checklists, tables, places for you to record your research. I have found so far there's a lot of resources out there that do this sort of thing, but none of them are a collection for you to record that I know of, unless you got to pay for them. You got to pay for a lot of those things. But I'll include links to get to some of the specific research, gear lists, bow and rifle prep. Everything in the series is going to be written in a way for you to use. So I'll leave it in a Google Doc that you can make a copy of. But the whole point is it's going to be a comprehensive planning location for you to write and put your research in there. And it's going to require some research. I'm not going to lay everything out for you because I'm not going to tell you where to go to shoot a big bull, because that would be my spot. And you're going to have to go figure out your own spot. And that's one of the tricky things for me is when I have friends from other places come to hunt, I feel that pressure of I have to put them on a bull. I have to put them on a deer or something, or in my dad's case, a bear. My dad and I spent 3 years chasing bears before we finally got him one. And in that process, the day he left, I shot a good bear. Two of those 3 years. It's just how that works. Bear hunting is that way. Sometimes it takes all 30 days of the September season. Sometimes it's an hour into it. Bear hunt's funny like that, but it's a good time. And in Colorado, a great opportunity for non-residents and residents to fill a bear tag for a fall season. We don't have a spring season, unfortunately, but we have that fall season in September, which is really good. And only $100 for non-residents. That's new of last year. So on this hunt planner worksheet, download that. I'm going to put it in the description, and that will be your hub for everything we're doing in the next few episodes. If this hunt planner series episode is not for you, jump down a few episodes and you'll see they'll all be labeled. They'll be labeled Colorado Hunt Planner Series, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. All right, here's your first step, and this will be on the worksheet. So you can open that up. All right, you got it open? Great. And the first step on there is to request information. Like I said with Alaska or Nebraska, call a agency location and request some information. If you are chatting with folks in Colorado, you're going to hear our state agency called multiple things. One is DOW, or Division of Wildlife, or CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The only reason for that is because Division of Wildlife is what it has been called. And about 10 years ago or so, there was a merger between parks and the wildlife side. And so now they have called themselves CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Doesn't matter what you call it. Everybody knows what you're saying. So I have no opinion either way. But I am going to be calling it Colorado Parks and Wildlife because that's what I have gotten comfortable calling it. So this is your time-sensitive piece that you got to get done, because some states are pretty quick about it and they'll package things up and get them sent to you. At this point in time, there's probably not many people in the office with our virus situation, so it could be a little difficult. Right now we're April 10th, 2020, so in the heart of the fun quarantines. So try and see if you can get through to somebody, see if they'll package you something up. But if not, they can another time. So get that information on your way. Ask them, hey, and tell them, hey, I'm looking at coming. What could you send me? Could you send me just as much information as possible? And they're going to guarantee you they're going to do it. So next, if you are techie or not techie, I would do that last step. But if you really despise getting those brochures, or just we can't because of the situation, get them online. Everything's electronic. Get those brochures and read them. CVW does have a hunt planner, but mine's more extensive, and it has a place for you to record everything, and it's organized in a better way, I think. So you could use that. I'll give you the link, and read those brochures. I bet you they send you an episode of Colorado Outdoors publication. That's their little magazine that's got some different things in it that's helpful, and some cool pictures, good photography in it. So read through that. The next and most important step for this episode is the goals that you need to set. And I want you to think about this, and I think about this every single hunt, and I need to come back to it. In the education world, you set an objective or you set a goal, and you work towards that throughout the class period, throughout the semester, whatever it is. You set those objectives, and you have a purpose. Even as a school district, you have a far greater purpose and mission and vision that you are following. And then at the end of the day or end of the school year, you come back to those things and see how well you fit into those, and how did we complete it? Oh, you didn't? Okay, we need to approach it a different way. So with your hunt, you need to set your objectives and your goals so that you can come back to those and remember why you're doing it. In the middle of all this research, you're going to hit other people's blogs, podcasts, whatever, and their opinion is it has a possibility of changing yours. And your goals now might be just their goals. And I don't think that's maybe the way to approach this. I think it's the best way to do this is to come up with your own, so that you remember from the very beginning why you decided to do this. So here's some examples. Are you primarily just wanting some meat? That's going to change your hunt. Is it that you have always wanted elk meat? Is it that you have shot multiple mule deer in other states, but you want to chase some of our big mule deer in Colorado? Is it just a fun experience that you want to have? Like sitting around a campfire with campers all around with your buddies and having some drinks and having a good time. Is that the goal? Which is just fine. There's some great camaraderie that can happen there, and powerful among groups, and just a getaway from the craziness of life. Is that what you want to do? Great. Or is this a backcountry hunt where you're going to just be so serious about the techniques and the strategies of calling an elk and shooting one? Or what's your goal? Or is it terrain focused? You want to go into the high elevations and be above tree line. You want to be into some country that's more aspen timber. Do you want to go out into the high desert of the pinyon junipers, or in the prairies of the Front Range? Can't forget the prairies. So figure out what that goal is. Next goal is your weapon of choice. What are you doing? Do you want to use your archery equipment, muzzleloader equipment, or rifle? Pretty simple right there. And again, that goes back to the first goal of why are you doing this? What kind of experience are you looking for? So those two might be wrapped up together. Next, what kind of time do you have away from family and work? If you're retired and got 30 days, like my dad does, he's come out here multiple times, and we've chased elk, we've chased bears, and he's got the entire month of September, and we use it. If that's what you have, great. If you only have a week of vacation for work, great. All of those are going to be determining factors. And it's very important to be on the same page as your spouse, making sure that they know what the expectation is. I've worked on that quite a bit in the last few years, being open with my wife and making sure that she knows what my hunting plans are, even back in March and April when I'm applying, so that I don't end up with some awesome tag, and when her work picks up in the fall, I can't go on it. That would suck. So that's why this year my deer seasons are not as important as my antelope and my elk. I am a family man, and we're a working family, and we have to pick and choose. I don't get to do this for a living. So that is your third goal. First goal is your figure out why you're doing this. Second is your weapon of choice. Third is how much time do you got. Fourth, who's going with, and what are those limitations? Is it your 350-pound uncle who can't hike 100 yards from a four-wheeler? Or is this your marathon running buddy who could hike over every mountain in Colorado or has done the entire Colorado Trail? So that's something to keep in mind, and it will change the dynamics of your hunt. And honestly, I would be very cautious in who you're picking to go on hunts with. The day I get to go to Alaska and go on a hunt, I'm going to be a little picky and choosy because there's a lot invested. I don't want to go with just some old acquaintance that we thought it was a good idea to go on. I'm sleeping in the same tent, camper, whatever. I'm spending night and day nonstop with this person, making decisions together, going through stressful situations together. You need to pick a person that you can stand being with and can have a great time, for sure. That's I think a very, very important thing, and be lighthearted together and be you. So that's important. Figure out who you're going with, and maybe old Uncle Jerry's got a four-wheeler. That's important. Know what those limitations are, that it's equipment or whatever. Make sure you figure out who's going along, or by yourself. I do a lot of hunts by myself, and I love it. No offense to my hunt buddy TJ. I love going hunting by myself. There's something about it. It's just a bummer when something really cool happens and no one else saw it but me. There's a piece of that sucks, but some parts that are kind of cool. Another goal is what kind of location do you have in mind? That goes back to a previous goal. Find what kind of terrain are you looking for? Do you have a general location that you have in mind? Is it the prairie muleys you want to chase, or is it high country mule deer you want to chase? Then lastly, your last goal is your budget. If you have no budget, good for you. That's not most of us. But set your budget, or at least figure it out. Start saving your pennies. And an elk hunt is expensive. $600-700 for a tag for a non-resident. You've got an investment there, and come into this thing knowing that you have a 10% chance, a 20% chance of filling that tag. Know that right off the bat. You are not coming here to harvest something necessarily, and that probably shouldn't be your goal. It should be the hunt itself, because look at the success rates in the statistics, and I'll show you where those are. That there is 90% of the people coming away with, in certain hunts, many hunts, that are not successful. So being ready for that. And if you are willing to go with an outfitter and you have the budget for that, great. So that's our last goal for what I need you to do in this first part of the planner. Other options that you could start with are some membership subscriptions. I'm not endorsing any of these. I haven't ever used them, but wanted to put them out there. Epic Outdoors, Go Hunt, Eastman's, other hunt planners, Hunt and Fool, Elk 101. Do a simple Google search and you'll find a bunch of them. But so far, what I have found without paying for anything, I haven't found anything as comprehensive as mine. Nothing is comprehensive without paying for it. So mine's free, and it is the true do-it-yourself. If you're wanting that experience, all the planning yourself, that's what I'm doing here, even down to the stats. So use mine. It's free. And that is it for this episode. I don't want to dive into this anymore. I want you to think about those goals, write those goals down, get that document downloaded, and then get some of those timely things done first, and then we'll dive into each one. We'll do things like CPW rundown, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, understand their funding and run through the site and who to call. Maps, we'll do a thing on that. We'll do a species-specific hunt plan or some different things between the species, tag acquisition, statistics, and then another episode is going to be just a straight-up regulation rundown. You should not be saying, I can do that there, I can't do that there when you're here. You need to know that ahead of time. Little side note, fun law in South Dakota, you can shoot coyotes and jackrabbits out the window of your vehicle. That's a cool law or rule. So you can't do that here. And pretty much every state, I'm pretty sure, you can't do that except South Dakota. So kind of a cool, unique little law. You got to know those state-specific things. And we'll do a little quick rundown so that if you miss something in a brochure, I'll say it. But I'm not going to speak for CPW. I'm just going to speak as an average hunter trying to help you out. We'll do a little bit of scouting stuff. I'll point you in some more direction of other resources, because if it's e-scouting, Randy Newberg is your guy. He's with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. He's done some incredible things with some e-scouting, and I'm not going to top that, especially with his budget that he has. So we'll just send you to him. Down to checklist for gear needs or not needed. I am in the trap right now of needing the most expensive, nicest, whatever. But I remember back when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, I'm hunting in blue jeans and canvas or jean coveralls that weighed 15 pounds. And I'm a 14-year-old dragging a muley down a hill for a mile or two. I did it then. I withstanded the elements then. I could do it again. So we don't always need the best gear out there. And I understand that. I just trying not to get in the trap of needing the nice stuff now that I'm adult. So other things, tent, campers, hotels. What are you staying in? And then we'll do an episode on hunt prep or multiple, getting in shape, firearm bow prep, some scouting, some safety. And then we'll jump into hunt execution and post-hunt stuff. So you can see this series could be quite long and hopefully very helpful for you. So that's it. And I hope you continue listening. And if this is not for you, you probably stopped listening already, but you can jump ahead. So thanks. Till next time.